I was an instructor on their staff until becoming the chief of police, and I just couldn't find the time to continue that, even though it was very rewarding. When I came back from my military assignment, my wife is from the Netherlands. She was able to go to classes and quickly convert her registered nurse's license over to an Oregon license, and has been a practicing nurse in Oregon for 22 years. So it's hard for me to be critical of an institution that's done so much for my family. And I'm not critical of the institution as I am the management of the security and safety. In 2013 and 14, we saw a change. We saw up militarization, up policing to the external vets. At one point, unknowns to me, these pictures up here will show you. It's hard to pick out the public safety vehicle on the bottom. And when you look at the photographs, the blue one in the top right-hand corner, that's their newest vehicle they purchased. The one below is a small Ford SUV. That was the vehicle that was used to kidnap Kaylee because it was equipped like a full police vehicle. You would think reasonably an organization who went through a tragic event like this would de-police their vehicles. Instead, they bought a vehicle, top right-hand corner, to exactly match the vehicles operated by the Oregon State Police in our area, the Bend Police Department, and the Chiefs County Sheriff's Office to make them look even more like us. It's hard to pick out which vehicle there's a police, especially when you look at it from the front. They all have the E-plates, they all have the huge push bumpers, and regardless if they are operating red lights or blue lights, Oregon still requires you to yield to red lights. Now, if you move over to the pictures on the right-hand side, it's hard to pick out the public safety other than the bottom left-hand corner, and I'm sorry to the family for this, that is Edwin Lahr. That's when I found out they were dressing identical to my officers. The other three are, the two on the right are police officers, Sun River and John Day. The top left-hand corner is their current configuration of their uniforms. I've negotiated with them to try to get them to change them out of a police-looking uniform so they didn't look like Sun River or John Day Police Department. I've had zero success. I did not want to be here today. We tried to work our way through locally with a local option for you folks would not have to become involved. But what I continuously ran into when I tried to negotiate with them to change their uniforms, change their vehicles was, and these are quotes, the statutes don't give you the authority to tell me to do that. The statutes don't say I have to do that. The statutes don't say I have to provide you with the reports we take on criminal instances. Can we go to the next?
Yes.
This is the brief history I went over. I would urge all of you to look at it. 2015, I was first called to attention when they were starting to do police investigations. There was a camera placed in the women's bathroom streaming live. By the time my detectives found out, their local security people had already stopped their janitor, taken the camera from him, interviewed him, not having the expertise to know what they were doing, gave him the camera back and released him before my detectives could get there. He immediately destroyed that camera. So we have someone with a deviant personality preying on women on the college, and the college gives him the camera back, and we cannot prosecute him because he immediately destroys the camera. That's where this all started. It wasn't me looking for a problem at the college. It came to me. From there on, at the time, we were not aware of it because they were not providing us with reports. And when they did provide us reports, I'll show you in a minute what they provided us. They were useless. When we'd ask for reports, they'd send us redacted reports you can't even read. And we were trying to conduct a criminal investigation. During this time, we had an active sexual stalker working the campus. From 2015 through 2017, when my officers were finally aware of it, were able to make the arrest, he victimized between 9 and 11 women. He would sneak up on them in the campus library, steal a piece of their clothing. He would then do unmentionable things to it out in the parking lot and go back. This individual the security was aware of this individual. They knew who he was by name. They started running their own security and surveillance operation because they believed that they were a police department. They put on their website, we are a law enforcement agency and able to enforce the law, despite me trying to work with them through 2015 and 2016 to get an MOU. This man victimized this many women. When my officers found out, we had him in jail within 120 minutes, recovered clothing, and he's been convicted. But all these women have been impacted. And here's the problem we have. Somebody shows up dressed like a police officer, driving a police vehicle, walks up to a young student, takes a police report. That individual believes that they submitted it. We've now went back and interviewed 2 of the victims of this, and they told us in their statements, they believed that the security officers at the college were going to share that information for we could conduct an investigation. And I'll show you in a moment what we get out of the college when we ask for it. This is what we get. These reports are redacted to the point where they have the suspect's name, the victim's name, and all removed. And here's what's important, and several of you are attorneys, you understand this. Under Oregon Constitution, victims have rights to restitution. They have rights to be heard. And the process being used by our community colleges, they dwarf that right. Because by policy, they know that they're not going to provide you with this information because they hide behind federal FERPA laws that say we can't provide that information to you. But yet they still send their officers out to take a report they know will be useless to law enforcement. Then they take that report and they hide it back in their offices in a filing cabinet, and when I ask for it, this is what I get. So literally, we have crimes going on. We, again, tried to solve this problem locally. After Kaylee Sawyer's death, they were a little more interested in talking to us. They came to the table. We developed a memorandum of understanding. Key portions of that memorandum of understanding, they would share information with me without redacting it, and that we would agree to what I could use. The Bend Police Department would be the lead investigating agency in all crimes. And lastly, most important, they would call us whenever a crime is committed. I worked through this MOU for a year trying to work with their staff. At the end of the year, I had my crime analyst, a very sharp young lady, go through and check through open sources because we couldn't depend on what they were giving us. We just couldn't. And so through open sources, she was able to establish somewhere between 59 and 69 crimes that occurred on the campus that had not been reported to us, that the college had not given us copies of the reports of. So we really tried to solve this locally. I ended up spending tax dollars with my attorneys trying to get their attorneys to do the right thing, trying to get the college thing. We're talking about tax dollars that should go to these kids' education, tax dollars from my department that should be going to providing public safety. That's where we end up because I keep hearing from them, the statute says, doesn't say we have to, the statute says you can't force it. And on that matter, when I began law enforcement, as Republican Olson did, we were kind of loose. And then DPSC brought us together and gave us professional standards. I believe moving forward and giving them some hard lines, what they can and can't do will make them more professional and make them better. I believe there is a place for security on campuses, but it's not acting like police officers. This is a map of the number of crimes that happened from 15 to 18 on the campus were never reported. Can you imagine pulling up on my website? You can do that geographically, crimes in any area of Bend. You're going to send your daughter to COCC, and you pull up and none of these crimes are listed in that area? Black hole of crimes. You can't get that information. They'll tell you it's Clery reporting. You can get it through Clery reporting, federal reporting, if you're familiar. They just cover some major murders, homicides, kidnappings, and those things. It doesn't cover the people break into cars. And this is something that's continued. We discovered on December 1st, when a citizen actually reported to us their car had been broken on the campus, that in fact their security once again had been conducting investigations and had taken reports on 5 car break-ins between October 29th and December 1st, and again, they withheld that information from us. So it's an ongoing thing. We've tried. That's why we're here to hope you can help us. And it's not just me speaking. This is hard, but if you read that top one, Edward Lara says the reason he knows he was of to get to Kaylee was because of the position he was in and the respect that people have for people who show up in uniforms, police. This is not me speaking, that's him. The other are statements from victims who assumed the Bend Police Department was going to be able to make them whole and help get their property back. They take descriptions of property, sometimes with serial numbers. It doesn't go into the national crime computers, but they keep it on their campus. We can't recover it. They can't recover it in another state if we don't have the ability to do that. And again, 79% of the time this last year, they've refused to give me those reports. These are just some outcomes and projections. I believe it's going to make them more professional. It's by far going to make it a safer campus. We need to let even police officers, when they do stop and frisk, highly trained police officers, make mistakes. How do you take someone who does not have a 17-week police academy with them, 17 weeks of in-car training, strong supervision by trained professionals like myself and my captain who's here today, and you expect them to operate to the same level of police officer by allowing them to stop and frisk people like they're currently allowed to in some cases? A stop and frisk is the next step to an arrest, and Kaylee Sawyer was a stop and frisk situation. These people do not have the training to do this, and we ask that you give them clear guidance in this area. One more. That's it.